Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning into SarahnnSays.com. Today we are reading, resourcing, and reviewing How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So I was really excited to add this book to my list of 17 in 17. Side note, it is 2018. Yes, I am aware, but I wanted to finish off, and this is actually my second to last book. So we have one more book that we'll be reviewing this month, and then we will have completed our goal. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, like I said, I was really excited to add to my list because I've heard wonderful things about the books. I think my mom bought me a book when I was younger called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers, and I saw when I was reading the adult version of that book that it was connected to this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I also saw it on a bunch of best-selling You Must Read Before You Die books, so I decided to add it, and I had a great experience with reading it. I definitely would say that it is a book for people who are committed and are interested in improving their relationships with other people, with understanding as well that if you are someone who has a really strong personality, and if you are stubborn, or if you are completely satisfied with who you are and feel like you can improve and change in no way, this book is not for you. So the really great thing about How to Win Friends and Influence People is that the author breaks it up into these different sections where he says, this is really good if you want to impress people immediately upon meeting them. These are the things that you want to do if you want to tell people they're wrong, but do it in the right way. And these are the things that you want to do if you want to make friends with a stranger. So he breaks it up by saying that anybody can really adopt these tools and anybody can win friends and influence people. But you have to understand that there will be some compromising and there will be a little bit altering. There's going to be some alterations of, the way you kind of move if you want to do this. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change who you are, or you have to compromise your beliefs, or you have to totally fake the funk. But what he's saying is that you have to be interested and willing to kind of, take on a more assertive and also relaxed and also warm and welcoming, encouraging energy and persona if you want to win friends and influence people. I found that a lot of these skills I was already doing, a lot of these things, I was like, okay, yeah, I like to think I'm a friendly person. I like to think that I'm good at influencing people and good at winning friends. And some of these things just come naturally to me, and I'm sure some of these things would also come naturally to you. And these are just simple things like smiling. He talks about how if you have a good smile, you will ultimately, be attractive. He talks about people who listen to other people's opinions. And if you're someone who is okay with valuing other people's opinions and not necessarily thinking that everything that you have is like the only knowledge that exists, then you are more you're more willing to make friends. You're more willing to be warm and welcoming to people. He talks about encouraging people and making people feel good, and how an important part of communication is listening. Now, I think that those are things that just come naturally to some people, but it was interesting to see him break it up in such a simple way. Carnegie talks about the importance of giving honest and sincere appreciation, and how if you show people that you appreciate them, it can change their life. He talks about using people's name when you're referring to them, or just repeating their name or calling them by their name is all they need to feel good about themselves and to feel good about the world. He talks about talking in terms of the other person's interests. So listening so that you can see what it is that people are into, and then finding a way to connect to their interests, and how that is a way to win them over. He talks about making people feel important, and how actually using the words "you are important" can make all the difference in the world when you're trying to lift someone up. He goes on to talk about how the best way to win an argument is to avoid it. And I know some people might say, well, how is the world going to change if we don't confront the issues? Or how do we let wrong people believe that they're right? And how can we let things pass us if we know that we need to stop them, and we need to speak up against injustice, or we need to speak up against people who are wrong, right? And he's saying that you can speak up against people who are wrong, but you can do it in a certain way. And that's why in the beginning of this review, I kind of just said, if you were someone who has a very firm opinion about things, if you're someone who's very stubborn, if you're someone who feels like the way you talk to people directly is what works for you and it works for the people around you, then, you know, you might feel like his book is kind of taking a passive approach to handling issues. And I felt that way a little bit while reading it. I kind of felt like, well, why would you avoid an argument if an argument would lead to emancipation, right? You know, why would you take the route around, you know, telling somebody directly that they're wrong if maybe it's time sensitive, or maybe it's subject sensitive, and whatever it is, it just needs to be addressed in that moment. But the further I read into the book and the more I kind of understood what it was that he was trying to communicate, the more I kind of got the sense that what he's really saying is that if you want to influence people and not just check them, not just correct them, but if you want to influence people, it has so much to do with your spirit and your energy in your communication. And that the style of communication that you should always take if you're trying to influence people is one where you're making them feel good about themselves and you're making them want to understand what you're trying to communicate. You're making them want to listen to what you have to say, and how a lot of that has to do with your delivery, has to do with the way you say things, has to do with the way you make other people comfortable about what it is that you're trying to say to them. He wraps up the book by saying, if you must find fault in what other people are doing, use encouragement and praise every improvement that they make. The slightest improvement and every improvement that they make, praise it, you know, encourage it. Let people feel like their journey to getting wherever they went, wherever they're trying to get, is supported by you and is supported by your ideals. And, you know, to let people feel like they can be right even when they're wrong, and not that they can't be right even when they're wrong. Ultimately, I really felt like I gained from How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was so glad that I got a chance to read it. I've heard about this book for years. It's like a world famous book. And in reading it, I found that the key to winning friends and influencing people is a lot more simple than one would think. And that all it really takes is just putting yourself in the other person's shoes, kind of pausing before you react, you know, responding instead of reacting, and really just being open to this idea yourself can be a tool to encourage people, and that in encouraging people, it's mostly about your delivery and then about your message. Thank you for tuning into this book review. I am very excited that this is the second to last book that I have to review this year, into this new year, and I am so glad that you all are here with me and that we are engaging in this content together. If you are interested in connecting with How to Win Friends and Influence People, you can get it on Amazon.com, you can get it at your local library or at your bookstore. Thank you so much for tuning into SarahnnSays.com. If you want to check out more books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, you can do so at SarahnnSays.com. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe below. Peace, love, sanity, and serenity.